Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. I finally got myself a copy of Leaving Las Vegas, starring Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue. Been wanting to see this movie for a very long time, and I like my thrift DVD copy that had a piece of tape holding it together. I think that's a very appropriate way to have a first watch of this delightful, beautiful film, kind of a sad film, but not as sad as I would have thought. It was a truly effective romance and a great film about what to do when you have no other options left. So if you've not heard of Leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage is quite at rock bottom with alcoholism. He is losing his job. In the very early on, we see him drunkenly stumble his way into fumbling a date that he never even would have had a chance with to begin with. And oh my goodness, he is drunk in this movie. A real serious kind of drunk, a kind of drunk where, if he's asleep and wakes up, he shakes violently until he has enough alcohol to sort of baseline his system. And it's a touching and powerful performance from our lead actor. I think what's interesting to me about this character is that he understands a few things about his own alcoholism. He understands that if he ever wanted to quit, he would actually have to want to quit. And he would have to have that desire and that drive, and he knows that that is just not reality. He's blown his job over it. We see him stumble into one mess after another throughout the film. But something that he does find that he does like is this relationship that forms with a prostitute that he meets. And they both are accepting parts of each other's lives, that conventionally the other person wouldn't accept. And it becomes a pretty involved and interesting commentary on everyone around them, basically, at times, if nothing else. I think it's very telling how others react to both of their lifestyles. And, one film here that comes up as Elizabeth Shue and Nicolas Cage are I think they're somewhere in Arizona or in the desert. They are watching a film, and I thought this was a really good touch, called The Third Man. So if you've seen the film and you don't know who The Third Man is, they show a really famous scene from that movie. And I won't explain too much other than that this is a mystery film noir about a missing friend who's supposed to give another guy a job. Orson Welles, one of the great supporting roles he's in. And there always is a third man in their relationship. There's always a third party. In the case of Elizabeth Shue, it's her profession. In the case of Nicolas Cage, it's his alcoholism. But they have learned to accept the reality, and much like Orson Welles here, live in the dark shadows, as it were. I think watching her take care of him and live with him and accept him is it's a really bold kind of filmmaking move. Like, this isn't like some kind of redemption arc. It's just a simple character study romance of two people who know what they have and they are willing to accept it. I found it to be an extraordinarily bold movie in that way. Honestly, the movie seems to kind of take Nicolas Cage's side throughout. For example, there's one scene that I think visually kind of gives this away where obviously he's drinking, he's drunk, right? And so they're in some kind of mall or something, and she's walking, on this level, and he's like going down the escalator, and he's too drunk to realize that like she's up there and he's down there. But it doesn't really matter to either of them that they're going on different levels because he's so intoxicated that he can't even But the film makes it's like it's not even a joke at him; it's a joke with him. It's a joke with all of us who are enjoying these characters together. At the same time, the film does not trivialize the dangers of either lifestyle. And there is a scene in this film that I think, talking around a spoiler here and talking around making it too obvious, there is a scene in this film where Elizabeth Shue, she runs into a difficult, dangerous situation in this film. And I think that has a certain message to send to how we unionize things or we give workers rights and legalities and so forth. I think if you've seen the picture, you're going to know what I'm saying. And I thought that was a really brilliant, insightful, kind of terrifying moment when we see it. And I appreciated that it was there, as hard as it was that it was there to see. But I you know, and Nicolas Cage, like the incidents he does get into, like, there really isn't any romanticizing it. Like I said, at the same time, you do kind of laugh and joke around and have a good time with the characters, because at the end of the day, no matter how things are going, up, down, in the middle, these are two human beings who are lonely and have found a way to coexist semi-peacefully. And even though it follows some pretty familiar romantic tropes, like, I gotta tell you, I haven't seen a movie like quite like this in this way ever before. And usually, you know, you have a pretty good film if the bulk of the action is really on two actors. Now, there's a film that if you like this one, you really should see, Days of Wine and Roses, with Lee Remick and Jack Lemmon, about alcoholism. And I think that one's a little bit preachier than this one, or a lot preachier maybe, but I really love the film. And so I would suggest seeing that as well. But I remember in that film was really all in on Jack Lemmon and Lee Remick having these strong performances where they were kind of both alcoholics. And if you can do that, like if you can be as compelling as Nicolas Cage was, you probably have created a pretty special, you know, piece of filmmaking. And I've read that he would get drunk and sort of try to learn his own slurred speech patterns. And I mean, you can see that he's got the nuance down of this. I'm getting ready. I've seen pieces of it, but I am getting ready to go through a bunch of Billy Wilder pictures. So I'll be watching The Lost Weekend, which of course has similar subject matter. But I'm really glad I watched Leaving Las Vegas. If you're judgmental as a person, you're not going to like this. Like if you're trying to sort of take a moral position that's higher than either of these characters, I don't think this is going to be the film for you. But if you go in with an open mind and you really try to like put yourself there around these people, I think you're going to really enjoy it. The music in this is great, really involved, upbeat soundtrack. Sometimes I feel like there's some jazzy blues or whatever in here, but it was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Okay, so Best Actor, Nick Cage, that was an Oscar. Elizabeth Shue was nominated, and then it got Director and Screenplay. And it definitely, like Siskel and Ebert, 2 enthusiastic thumbs up, one of the best films of the year. It's really good. I think it has a 4K now maybe, or at least a better Blu-ray restoration, but like I said, I saw this, I got this for $2, it says. $2 copy, DVD, sounds about right. And I really enjoyed it. And like I said, if you haven't ever seen The Third Man, give this a watch, because it was brought up in a very specific way in Leaving Las Vegas. So you need to see this if you haven't seen it. But those are my thoughts on Leaving Las Vegas. If you liked the review today or found it helpful in any way, you want to click the thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on Leaving Las Vegas or any Nicolas Cage film or Elizabeth Shue film. Subscribe if you haven't. Dakota in the Cinema.